Oh, right, I had that muted, so let's start again. I'm going to show you today how to build the sensor for your home automation servers. I'm going to show you how to build the hardware, how to send an MQTT signal, how to set up a server to receive a signal, how to create an automation in Home Assistant to do all the things you need. The hardware I'm going to use is the ESP826601 chip. It's a fairly good chip. We also need a few other things here, such as diode resistors and switches and wires and stuff. The ESP826601 microcontroller, the really amazing thing, it has two general purpose IOs, has full Wi-Fi capabilities. It costs basically nothing, and it's so small. It's very, very small, and it has basically no power consumption. You can use 2 AA batteries and power it for years. So it's pretty good for standalone sensors that you just have around the house. The programmer I'm using is the USB to ESP8266 module. It's actually technically not a programmer, it's a serial interface. But you can do some creative soldering and attach a button to it, and then it becomes a programmer. So it serves dual purpose here. Okay, how to wire up the microcontroller? It's not complicated. Just connect all the things, all the buttons and stuff. I mean, it's you just connect the reset line to ground through a button, essentially. It just works like that. It works by you're essentially restarting the device every time you push the button. So the code, it's fairly simple. I mean, this just runs one time. It pushes to MQTT, and when that is done, it just shuts down its own power, because pin 4 and pin 2 is holding up the reset line, the enable line, right? And when you just set that to 0, it just shuts off. When it shuts off, it uses around 20 microamps, so it can last for years like that. Yeah, and in this code you can see in the second frame it publishes to switch demo and it just says pushed. This is the message we can send to MQTT, that we send to MQTT server. Okay, flashing is, well, it's fairly simple. You just push the button, right? just you hold in the button on the programmer when you plug it in, then you're ready. Just press the play button and it will flash the chip for you. It does require some setup though. You have to download all the required files and settings for this particular chip, but it took me about 10 minutes at most, so it's not a problem. Okay, then you have to solder things up, of course after testing that it actually works, but just start with the most complex things and work your way down. It's pretty simple, but test before heat shrinking. That's my tip here. Okay, Home Assistant. That's really the main thing here. It's a smart home server that connects everything in your home. It can automate things. It can show you the state of everything. It can log things for you and so on. Let me show you how this interface looks. Right, so this is Home Assistant. Here at the home screen you can see I have all my lights set up here. I can turn things on and off, and so some of these switches turn on and off several things at once. You can also look at all the history here at when lights were turned on and off, so it's pretty useful that way. The Home Assistant can actually interface with pretty much anything technological today. I've not found many things that is not supported, but it can be easily augmented by using the like Python scripts and stuff. So you could pretty much automate anything with it. Right. How do you set up the server? Well, Home Assistant, you can use a Raspberry Pi because it's pretty lightweight. You just download the image, flash it on a SD card, and you're up and running. Takes a little while, but first time I did this, I was drunk, so I'm pretty much sure all of you can do it sober. So yeah, then you have to install the Mosquito MQTT plugin. This one is located under Has.io, and you can go to the add-on store and find this Mosquito MQTT broker. So that's fairly easy. Just go in here, set like passwords and stuff in it. Right. Okay, so to configure the MQTT server, you just go into the config.yaml file and just add these lines. Of course, you have to use your own passwords and usernames, but it's pretty simple, because this service is designed to be simple. The only hard part is actually that YAML uses spaces for for grouping, so you have to make sure you use the right number of spaces, but after that it's pretty simple. In the same file you can set a sensor, which essentially logs things for MQTT. So in this case I'm logging the key pushes, though it doesn't really like this. It's more for if you have temperature sensors and on and off sensors. But yeah, that's how you do it. And there are more settings to this, but yeah, you just set what topic it requires and the name, and it will be represented in Home Assistant in the history at the bottom here. It says push, but that doesn't work that 100. Okay. So automations. Automations is the thing that actually makes it really good. You have a bunch of triggers and conditions. So the triggers in this case is whenever I catch a message from MQTT and it is the switch/set, it'll trigger on this automation. I'm gonna show you in a moment. Then you take number of conditions, like time of day, or sun's up if it's raining, or whatever. You might not want to turn on a light if it's already bright outside, or if it's like in the middle of the night. So you can gate things like that. So it's pretty versatile. You can also set any number of things to happen. So I'm gonna use this for when I get home. I gonna have a button next to my door. When I push it, it will turn on lights and stuff in my apartment as needed. So it's gonna be really cool. Right. Automations. Right. So automations, you can find this under configuration. Well, this is in Swedish, but it's pretty much the same in any language. Right. In this view, you can create automations by pressing this button in the corner. But let's go into the current automation I have. It's fairly simple. You set a trigger, type MQTT, subject switch demo, and the payload is pushed. You can add the conditions here. For instance, sunset or something, or time, or some numerical value. Pretty simple. And the this is the last part, the actions. Right here I'm gonna use Home Assistant.toggle, which toggles anything really. In this case, the entity ID is light corner lamp. So it's gonna turn on and off that lamp whenever you push the button. Okay, so let's do some demonstration here. Right, so here's my little circuit hanging. It's gonna be soldered up and made a lot better later, but you can see here, this is the ESP8266 is very, very tiny, and this is, you know, has Wi-Fi and stuff in it, so it's really cool. So just when you push a button, blinks, takes a second, and does not work. Right. Well, that is anticlimactic. Yeah, there it goes. And when I push it again, it just turns off. Very simple. You can just keep doing this, you know, forever. Yeah. Right. As I said before, this is basically off right now. The only thing that draws power is this little LED here. You can actually remove that, and you get right about half the power consumption as before. So around, maybe you can get down to 10 microamps. So right. Right, so there are other possibilities for this. You can use an influx database, which essentially takes that logging of activities and puts it in a database. And then you use Grafana, which, you know, just reads that database and produces really, really nice graphs, like temperature and on and off states and stuff. It's really cool. Then you can use dashboards. You know, you can reuse old tablets and stuff. You can put any sensors you like. If it has a numerical value, you can use it. You can count the number of times people open the door or something. I don't know. You can use security cameras and location-based sensors. I mean, pretty much anything that senses something, you know, works. Right. Questions? Oh, I can also say this, that lamp, yeah, it is IKEA, but it is also modified with Philips Hue, so it's really cool. It would work, just put a light strip in there. Well, if you have the layout, you can probably mean, if you have the circuit diagram and all that stuff, you can probably do that inside of an hour, then maybe 2-3 hours to set up the server. But once you have the server up, adding an additional thing is, not that much. It's not complicated. It's just, a little bit of work of setting things up. So it's not a problem. Yeah, we will have it whenever we decide to buy all this shit. All of my hue lights, they're pretty expensive. So, but yeah, it's a really good idea. Actually, I like it. But yeah. Any other question? Well, okay. Well, you can send questions to me if you want to ask something. Try and answer it. So yeah, that's it for this presentation. So yeah, that's it for me. Oh, off the shelf, a bunch of stuff, but the sensors and MQTT stuff is still pretty, it's pretty rare. So you can buy a lot of